Hi guys, this is Dr. Sadasivam once again with you. Yesterday we had put up a video which has outlined the overview of the stock market in terms of how each of our sectors have done during the last 2 or 3 quarters. And today we're going to talk about a very generic overview in terms of how different companies are performing in those and what is in store for us for the next 1 or 2 quarters. As we are all aware that India is in the cusp of a transition. In the sense, this transition we are talking about will be driven by a very, very important factor, and that is the 5G, which is expected to be implemented maybe in the next 12 months because all sources confirm to that. And that is coming at a very, very important time. We are all aware of the fact that the telecom sector was about to go into a duopoly situation, kind of a situation with just two players. Duopoly is an economic concept which talks about only two companies, big companies. In this case, it was Bharti Airtel and Jio Telecom. Generally, governments, generally the traditional economics believes that if you have only two companies operating in a sector, that might lead to certain monopolies, and monopolies are not good for consumers in the long run. That's what the traditional economists believe, and the government, in order to stop that, they had allowed, we can't say basic privileges, but government felt that Vodafone company also should coexist along with those to avoid this kind of a duopoly situation. So now, especially when you talk about transition to 5G, huge investments are required, and as of now, looking at both the players, that is Jio and Bharti, and Videocon continuing as a fringe player, it is expected that the telecom sector is going to do extremely well in the months and years to come. Of course, there's a lot of capex involved. We are not very sure about their plans, but one thing sure is companies are willing to invest at this point in time. Okay, of course, Vodafone will also continue. Along with that, there's another company that is coming into focus, and that is your Indus Towers. Because all big players, we are talking about 2-3 players at this point in time, they need to use their towers, and over a period of time, these Indus Towers, they have built up good economies of scale, and it's even economical for the other telecom companies to use their towers because it's kind of a win-win situation. So in short, your Indus Towers, over a period of time, it would become like kind of CDSL for the telecom sector, right? So as on date, your Jio, Bharti, they both are there in the 5G race, and both of them, we are sure that they would be able to give better pricing benefits in the months to come. Of course, as we said, Vodafone will also continue as a fringe player. We are not very sure about how this company will shape up. But yes, hopes are there. There is a chance. Let us see how these companies are able to ramp up their unique sales proposition and ensure that customers get value for their money, right? Today, Bharti is also selling well. I think Bharti shares have already moved up to some 700 rupees or so. And we can expect the telecom sector, especially Bharti, to do well in this particular area. And we will see 12 months down the line when this 5G really starts getting into every consumer's home. That is when we need to see how well they are able to price this product, to what extent they will be able to offer value to consumers who are consuming them. And I think all these things will have a direct impact on the share prices. I'm talking about not just two companies, we're talking about all the three, including the fringe player, that is Vodafone. Another very important thing, to what extent these companies are going to show value to consumers, especially when you transition from the 4G to the 5G. We need to see what kind of use cases will emerge for its citizens, and how are these companies going to monetize their 5G story. So we need to see how well these companies are able to do that. That's one part of the year, one part of the thing. And secondly, the stars are aligning. The stock market, if, especially in the last 5 or 6 days, if you see, they have really done well, and the stars are aligning in favor of the bulls. And I think there's a lot for customers to gain in the process. It is an year of transition. Largely, we can say the whole Indian market is shifting from kind of an early cycle to a mid cycle, and we are moving from, of course, easy liquidity to adequate liquidity. Because of this, easy liquidity, I've put up some videos on what easy liquidity is, and that's not a trend which is happening in our country. It's happening throughout the world. US, there is easy liquidity, as a result of which there is huge inflation, because anytime you have easy liquidity, it leads to huge inflation, and too much of inflation is also not good for growth. And all these, such a acrobatic walk. We have to walk that fine balance, and the government needs to navigate that particular path, which is balancing between your inflation and the growth. All that needs to be seen, but I think we can leave all that to the wisdom of the government. I think government by and large have done a good job. Okay guys, this is as far as the telecom industry is concerned, and how things will shape up in the coming months and years to come. One thing I would like to tell you, many a times there are a lot of people who look just at graphs and basing their investment decisions on that. There's a lot of money to be made, but all said and done, we need to be very, very careful in terms of how we select these companies. That is going to be very, very important, and that's going to be a major challenge, especially for the year 2021, the last year which has gone by. It was a broad-based growth, guys. This was something very similar to what happened between 2003 to 2008. Those of you, if you had who had the exposure to stock market at that point in time, you will all agree how the markets move. A rising tide lifts all the boats. Your efficiency doesn't matter at all. A ship captain has nothing to do when the ship sails in calm seas. It is only weather, storms, thunders, big storms that can decide who the best captain is. Otherwise, captain has nothing to do. The ship sails, people do their job, catering staff do their catering job, you have logistic guys, you have navigators, you have caterers, you have engineers. They do the job, but what does a captain do? The mettle of the captain always comes during very heavy storms, where people look up to him for directions, and the captain says how they have to navigate the ship. That's where the role of a leader comes into existence, right? You might wonder why I'm giving that example. That example is because throughout 2021, the market had been very broad-based, because wherever you put your money, it would have given you something, definitely more than the bank interests they would have given, right? So there are companies which have given 2-3 times more also. Leyland 40, it's jumped to 120. Your Tata Steel, your Tata Motors, your Tata Steel, not Maruti. Maruti is broadly, it's the same. Some companies, lots of companies, right? They've given 3 times the investments. 3 times is 300% returns, right? This year, we can surely say that the market is not going to be broad-based. One has to be very, very careful in picking up the right stocks. So the captain analogy comes, because it is not that all stocks will do well. One has to be very, very careful, especially as far as the stock selection is concerned. And that is where one needs to put their brain and mind into it. Now, let me also tell you that the purpose of this video is not to recommend you what stocks to buy. Let me very clearly say that. I'm not going to recommend buy this share at this price, put a stop loss, keep it for 2 months. I'm not going to be your advisor. But all I'm trying to do is some of the salient things which are happening in the stock market, be it in terms of which sector is facing headwinds, which sector is facing tailwinds. And along with that, a lot of economic concepts come into picture. We are talking about broad-based growth. We are talking about inflation. We are talking about stagflation at times. These are some of the things which are. So I will pick up certain economic principles from that. By virtue of being an economics professor myself, I would like to explain certain economic principles to you through the use of what is happening in the stock market. So this way you will understand some fundamentals of stock market in terms of how the stock market movements take place, and we will also be learning certain economic terms. That's the whole purpose of all my videos. We will be coming out with series of such videos, the objective of which broadly is to decomplicate or demystify some of these economic concepts through real life examples which are happening in the stock market. That is going to be the objective of our videos. Do subscribe to the channel. You've got lots and lots of things to learn, especially economics, because it is my assumption that whoever is watching these channels, they're all working in corporates, whether you invest in the stock market or not. I'm sure all of you are senior level people. You will be going to clubs, attending conferences, giving out press conferences, etc., etc. This knowledge of economics will help you a lot. I hope you like this video. Please subscribe to this channel. And this is Dr. Sadasivam signing off till we meet again. Bye bye. Jai Hind.